Hey guys, it's Troy. Welcome to another video. This is the second in a series of 3 short videos I'm doing which will discuss my approach to dating and how I help my clients to achieve better success out there in the dating marketplace. Okay, so what you've got to realize is, firstly, there is a whole different paradigm of dating out there that you may well not be aware of right now, depending on where you're coming from. I mean, obviously people come at this from different baselines, but there really is a very different way of approaching this. And just imagine for 1 second, okay, if you're watching this and you're coming at this from a place where maybe you feel less than, you're socially awkward, you find it difficult to start conversations with people, particularly women that you're attracted to, you find it really hard to even hold eye contact with people, and physical touch is something that seems very alien to you and very, very difficult. Okay, so say you're in that kind of situation and you're coming at this and you're just thinking, look, I want to meet a nice girl. I want to meet somebody who I gel with, who I click with, who I can have some fun with, have some good times with, and just generally form a relationship with that person. Okay, imagine that's the position that you're in. Maybe it is the position you're in. Okay, now it might be at the moment that the thought of walking up to that girl, that woman who is your absolute perfect 10 or whatever you want to call it, and engaging her in conversation, looking her in the eye, being authentic, not trying to hide behind trying to be friends with her, not trying to conceal your intentions or anything like that, but just being completely authentic, open, honest, in the moment, and just sharing and owning the fact that yes, you find her attractive, but equally you want to get to know her more as an actual human being, as a person. Okay? Imagine being in a situation where you see this gorgeous, gorgeous girl, maybe it's at a party, or it's at the bar, or you've been invited to a barbecue and she's there, standing there by the bar in a red dress, she's looking gorgeous. And you know exactly what you're going to say when you walk up to her. Okay? And you feel completely comfortable, you feel completely grounded in your own sense of self, in being able to walk up to her and in a very calibrated manner own the fact that yes, you approached her because you think she's cute and you want to get to know her. But equally, you're indicating that, look, this isn't just a physical thing. This is also, I want to understand more about you. I want to see whether we are, there's some connection here, whether potentially something could come of this, okay? So in a sense, you are choosing her in that sense. She attracted you initially, maybe because of how she looked, but, you're not the kind of guy who's just going to accept anybody just because they're a pretty face. Okay? There's more to it than that, because there's more to you than that. So imagine having absolute confidence in the fact that you can do that. Now, obviously, not every single encounter like that is going to lead to anything. In many cases, she may just not be interested. You may just not be her type. Okay? And there's not going to be a great deal that you can do about that. But equally, when you're consistent with this stuff, there will also be plenty of times when the woman does find you interesting. And the fact that you approached with confidence and you were able to own the situation and you didn't show weakness, you didn't falter, you didn't fumble your words, you didn't look to her to carry the conversation, is going to work very much in your favour, and it's actually going to give you additional points as far as her attraction to you is concerned. Okay? I think a lot of the problem is that many guys, and this included myself back in the day, didn't have that rock solid confidence that they knew what they were doing once a conversation with a woman had started. Okay, so in a way, it's making an initial approach can seem intimidating enough because there's a danger, of course, that you might get rejected. She might say, I've got a boyfriend. She might just say, hey, listen, you're not my type. I'm not interested, whatever. Guys don't like that because that stings. That seems difficult to deal with. But an even greater fear is, okay, well, I go and I start talking to her, and then what? After I've maybe made an initial compliment or I've introduced myself, and now I'm standing here and it's like I'm on a high wire. You know, it's like I'm on a high wire walking between buildings. What do I say now? What do I do? How do I present myself? So I'm not going to fall off that high wire down into the depths, down into the streets. And that is one of the reasons why guys get very inhibited socially, because they just don't have that rock solid confidence that they can go up and have that interaction. Okay? And what I want you to imagine now is, what if you were given that power? What if you were able to acquire that skill set so that, and again, of course, not guaranteeing that every interaction is going to go your way, because there's going to be many occasions when the woman just isn't interested in you, and that's fine, and there's nothing you can do about that. But imagine just having that power, that whether you're at the pool party, you're at the bar, you're at the casino, you're in a restaurant, you're in Starbucks, whatever it is, you can go up there and you can own that social interaction and give yourself the very best possible opportunity of creating the right impression on that woman that you're interested in. Wouldn't that be a superpower? It really would, actually, in this day and age, because today, more than ever before, we're so used to using our smartphones to communicate, in order to meet people, in order to interact with people generally, that actually these very basic social skills are becoming more rare rather than less rare. Okay, so it really is a superpower. Now, I work with clients all across the world in person, as well as doing virtual trainings with people. And I worked with a client recently who was somebody who made a lot of money, through his work in crypto, or his investments in crypto, I should say. So this was a guy who was rich, guy in his early 20s, rich, decent looking, but rich, no problems with money, never had to work again if he didn't want to. I mean, he does work, but, you know, if he didn't want to, he wouldn't have to. Nice car, several homes, plenty of assets of various kinds around the world, living in a cool place, etc., etc. Everything's good on the surface. But, and this is something that's in common with a lot of the guys that I work with, he was quite socially uncalibrated, or he found it very difficult to be open socially. Okay? So he found it hard to approach. When he had approached, he didn't really know what to say to make the conversation not get really awkward. He would then have difficulty in asking for a phone number, and if he did get a phone number or some contact details, then he'd have difficulty asking for a date, and if he finally got a date, he wouldn't know what to do on the date. Okay, so at every point throughout the whole process, he was operating from a less than optimal state. Okay, I work with a lot of guys like this, who, some of them are younger, like him. Many of them are older, like I'm in my 40s, so I work with a lot of guys of my age or even older, and maybe those guys have been through a divorce, or they've just never got married, but they want to get back out there into the dating marketplace. Maybe they've been in a long-term relationship or whatever. But one of the key things that unites many of them, and again, myself, is that we are very cerebral. Okay, we're kind of in our heads. But when the time comes to turn it on socially, we find that extremely challenging. This was exactly my problem for years, for decades. This was absolutely my problem. Now, when I work with clients, we use a variety of different means in order to free them up so that they become less inhibited, they become less stuck in their head. Okay? they become more social, they become more reactive to what's happening around them, as opposed to being stuck in this kind of intellectual prison, this kind of cerebral, very analytical prison, which doesn't do them any good. Because I don't know if you've heard this said before, but IQ, super important, of course, but EQ, emotional intelligence, is in many cases arguably more important, because that's how you influence people, okay? And life really is a game of influence. And if you're not able to influence people in real life, then you're going to be on the back foot, okay? Now, one of the techniques that we teach, and this is just one of the techniques, is based on an acting method by a gentleman called Stanislavski, who was a Russian drama teacher, a Russian theatre director, and a theorist, really, in the art of acting and how to convey a certain persona on stage, okay? And he wrote a very influential book called An Actor Prepares, which really was the basis of the method acting tradition that went through to people like De Niro, Daniel Day-Lewis, and various other modern movie stars, okay? Incredibly influential work. Stanislavski, incredibly influential thinker. One little nugget in An Actor Prepares is what is called the magic if. Okay, and here Stanislavski encourages his students, his acting students, to act as if they are a certain type of character. Okay, and it's the idea of this magic if, where we are taking away the normal constraints around us, we're taking away the confines of our normal personality, and we are, just for a period of time, not forever, just for a period of time, we are acting as if we are somebody or something else. And this is something that I teach to my clients, and I work with my clients on, and I encourage them for periods of time, not, as I say, not forever, not for 2 weeks, maybe just for an hour or 2 hours or the evening out. I encourage them to act as if they are a super confident, rock solid, stone cold player type archetype. Okay? So for that period of time, and it's a finite period of time, that's very important, you don't have to maintain this forever, you act as if you are that guy. And we'll help together to form the archetype that you're going to enact, but that guy, the James Bond character, okay. This massively simplifies everything, because you don't have to go for years of therapy, okay? You don't have to spend hours laying on a couch talking to a psychiatrist about, what happened in your childhood and everything else to remodel your personality. All you need to do is act as if you are the person that you want to be. And you can list it all out before, the characteristics, or just, as I say, just have somebody in mind. So it might be James Bond, it might be somebody that you know, somebody in the media, some other movie star or character. It doesn't matter. You act as if you were that person. Now, generally speaking, we're going to kind of know what the person that we're enacting would likely do in any set of circumstances, okay? And the trick or the technique is to simply do that, okay? Do that thing that your archetype would himself do if he were in the situation that you were in. So if you're in a bar and you're sitting opposite the woman and you're feeling a little bit nervous, okay, so how would this character act, okay? And you're going to do that. Because for a period of time, you are playing a role, okay? Don't get this confused. I'm not saying be somebody else. I'm not saying pretend that you've got a Lambo if you haven't, any of that stuff. It's not about that. But it is about modulating your characteristics in accord with a very idealized version of oneself for periods of time, okay? There's a great book called The Alter Ego Effect, which I would highly recommend. Look it up afterwards. I'll put the link below. But The Alter Ego Effect talks about this in detail, stepping into a different, preferable alter ego than our own for periods of time, okay? Beyonce did it with her Sasha Fierce character. She was quite shy. She was a good church girl. She developed the Sasha Fierce character so that she could get on stage and be this super raunchy, super outrageous diva, okay? She stepped into a different persona for the periods of time while she was on stage. Dating, in many ways, is like a performance, okay? We're being ourselves, but we're being ourselves with the volume turned up a little bit, okay? And so this alter ego effect and the Stanislavski magic if are very, very useful tools in terms of developing this new persona that we need to develop in order to win. So that's just an example of the kind of thing that I teach my students, but just from this video alone, you can use that concept or think about using that concept, how that's going to work for you when you go out into social situations, okay? It's incredibly powerful. I promise you it's incredibly powerful. That really, I've learned probably 2, 3, maybe 4 really life-changing things in the course of my, career, learning about this stuff, doing this stuff, that really, really changed the game for me. And that was one of them. Okay, this idea about stepping into a different paradigm, stepping into a different version of oneself. One of the most game-changing things that I ever learned in this whole space. And it just completely, it's a cliche to say it changed my life, but in many ways it did change my life, or it was one of the factors that changed my life, okay? So I'm giving it to you for free here. Something to think about. Let me know what you think of that technique. Let me know if that's something that you've used. Write in the comments below. Make sure you get on my free email list if you haven't already, because there's going to be some useful stuff coming up for you in the next few days. Okay, the link is below. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already as well. Your support is very much gratefully received as always. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.